Hello there. What is going on, everybody? We had an awesome live stream from Fantasy Flight Games, and we're going to talk all about the huge ships and all of the new things that we learned about them. But I do want to talk about luxury playstyle right now. If you haven't already, head over to luxuryplaystyle.com and check out their amazing new XWing tokens. These are full metal designer tokens. If you really want to elevate your gaming experience, you can save 15% if you use code Crabbok VIP at checkout. I will put a link to all that in the description below, but definitely check them out. All right, guys, so we've got a lot of new stuff to talk about with this live stream. Epic ships, very, very cool. Now, they played one of these new epic scenarios that's on a 3x3 mat, and we got to see a Argos Aunty and a CR90 in action. We also got to see the wing tool working. We got to see some range 5 shots. We got to see a lot of really cool stuff. So I just kind of want to jump right in and just let's start talking about everything that we saw, because there was an awful lot here. So first off, I guess one of the biggest questions on everybody's mind, the range ruler for huge ships. It looks almost like a dagger, doesn't it? It looks like you could hurt somebody with that thing. But yes, huge ships can go up to speed 5 now. So that is pretty cool. You've got your speed 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 on there. You also have a 90-degree triangle at the tip, and that is going to be used for turning. And you are able to also do your 1 bank, 2 bank, and 3 banks by going out about this far right here. But if you're going straight, you can go 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 even. So lot of maneuverability there. So that was really cool. And basically, we also get a good close-up look at the bases. The new huge ship base is this awesome piece here, and it's actually like two-tone. You've got like a top level, and then you've got this bottom level that has an indentation underneath that you can kind of lock in your maneuver template and kind of lock it in to do your move. But I also want to talk about the fact that the base has got 4 peg holes in it. So the same huge ship base can support virtually every type of huge ship they ever decide to do. They can do the smaller ships when they're closer together, or for bigger ships and they need to be farther apart, they can support that. So you can really support a very wide variety of huge ships with this one size fits all base, which is very cool. I liked that. So kind of showing like how it slides in. You might slide it in there, or you can slide it all the way back and forth, kind of move it in there, lock it in, and this is kind of how you can either turn it up from there up into where you need it to go, or you can, this is also the really cool thing, is a lot of the huge ships have a 0-speed maneuver, so you can do a 0-speed move, which is really cool. And by doing a 0-speed move, you're going to lock that template in right behind that basically the first section of the base, turn it, and you're just going to spin 90 degrees from where you're at, and you go 45 degrees, I'm sorry, not 90 degrees. You're going to spin 45 degrees from where you're at, and just stay there. So you can actually do a 0-speed turn. And we can see some of these. We've got the Argos Aunty over on our left, and on the CR90's dial on our right. And we can kind of see how they look. And of course, they both have the 0-speed maneuvers. They have the 0-speed stop. They have the 0-speed turn. The CR90 can do up to a 5 straight. So the CR90 is fast. It's a blockade runner. It's supposed to be fast, right? So that is cool. And yeah, so definitely digging that. We also got to look at the damage decks. And they showed off a lot of these cards that you can get. I'm not going to look at all of them individually, but the thing that's important is that you have you have a bottom and a top. And of course they're just regular damage decks on the other side. But for the face-up section, they have a bottom and a top. And what's cool is that depending on where you get hit, if you pull this card, you've got this whole you got your critical bad stuff on the bottom, but if you got hit in a certain arc, you can get an additional effect when you get this crit, only if the hit came from the designated arc. So in some of these we've got side arcs, some of these we got the full frontal arc. I think one of them is a bullseye. If you get bridge hit if you get shot from your bullseye arc. So depending on where you get hit, you might have even worse things happen. So it's a very, very clever mechanic they did with this damage deck. I think that's very, very cool. They also talked about our counter for energy and shields. There was a lot of speculation on if it was like, oh, am I going to match up 2 ships as the left side for the front and the right sides for the rear or whatever. I speculated that it was double digits, and somebody said that's crazy. What, so you can go up to 99 shields? Sure enough, you can go up to 99 shields. You're not going to go up to 99 shields, at least not right now. But they said there does exist the possibility to be able, there are some combinations where you could go into double digits, and so that's why they did it this way. And also this gives them a lot of flexibility. Now, I will look at something like this and I will be the person that says, hey, I instantly want to go ahead and jump right into, Nebulons and Architons and much bigger ships, because hey, if we got double digits for shields and energy, we can have like a 30 shield ship or a 50 shields or a 75 shield ship. We can totally do that. And sure you can, but I don't think they're going to do that yet. I think they want to see how well the Epic does right now and huge ships do right now. If these start selling, then they'll move on to because the first step will probably not be to jump into Nebulons. The first step will be okay, well now let's make, some huge ships that are actually specific to, those new factions. So maybe a Clone Wars specific huge ships, and, First Order and Resistance specific huge ships. And I think that will be maybe the next step. Probably Clone Wars first, and then Resistance and, First Order after that. And then at that point, every faction will have potentially 2 different huge ships available to them. And there may even be one that has 3. I haven't figured out every permutation of everything that's possibly legal right now, and if they do that. But my point is, there'll be a lot more variety. And if that ends up being the case, then they can look at, building in even bigger huge ships for the epic, ultra epic games, the Uber ships, but you could use the same dial in theory for something as big as a Nebulon B or an Architons even. So that's pretty cool, and I would love to see that. I definitely want more big ships, and a lot of people, definitely want to see, there's so many candidates that could easily fit into X-Wing between hammerheads, not hammerhens. Hammerhens, they're chickens with a claw hammerhead, and they claw you. Wow, that sounds like a robot that should exist in some type of sci-fi. But yeah, I think this is just a great future-proofing thing. And I think all of Fantasy Flight has been showing a lot more cases of future-proofing lately. Another thing we learned about, the way that the Gazanti can dock, and have people, deploy ships. It doesn't have to just be, front. They can deploy from the side as well, and they did that from that central side line, which is very, very cool. Even though in this particular case they went through an asteroid, but yeah. So we did see some cool deployment shenanigans, and we got to see some cards. So we're gonna look at some of the different cards that we got. Let's see. We got to see some Y-Wings flying in formation, which was pretty cool. And one of the cool things about the way that these formations work for the wing tool, and that we saw some of this already during the wing tool, the epic scenario, breakdown where they were doing aces high. They talked about the wing tool a little bit and how you can join a wing and leave a wing. They kind of specified that a little bit easier. You can leave a wing if you bump and maybe you can't complete the move that everybody else can, like you kind of bump on a corner. That's the most common way people will probably end up leaving a wing. And if that's the case, you can probably rejoin pretty easily. What'll happen if you leave the wing, you'll just take that card, slide it down. You now no longer have a position, but you have your same number on there. And that number is going to be used for your target locks. That's what's going to mark your character. So that's kind of cool. I like that. I like that actually quite a bit. So that's pretty groovy. And if you want to rejoin the wing, you can do that at the end of at the end step. If you're at distance 1 of the wing leader and you don't have a stress or an ion or certain other negative, there's certain other things that could prevent you from rejoining a wing. But if you're otherwise unprohibited from rejoining a wing, then you just declare you're rejoining it. If you're range 1 from the leader, so you'd have to be pretty close, especially with the wing being in formation, everybody else is kind of in the way. But yeah, if you're able to rejoin the wing, you'll declare you rejoining the wing, and the next turn, when Yvonne Verlaine or whoever your wing leader is does the maneuver, you will just be placed back in cohesion. That's a Legion term, but that's what I'm going with. You'll be placed back in the wing tool after the move. If you're eligible to rejoin the wing. So very, very cool stuff. We saw they were running a 7th sister using Agent of the Empire. Now, generally, they talked a little bit about the design of the wing, too, and how it came from playtesters, and, it was originally potentially unbalanced if you could have anybody lead any other type of things, because you could have, a TIE Phantom or a TIE Interceptor lead a whole bunch of bombers and get them, really, really far, really, really quick, and then, because you're doing actions when your leader activates. So, you're really, like, if you wanted to have an alpha strike of bombers, now you can potentially still have an ace bomber lead a wing of smaller bombers and stuff, but this is stuff that's only going to be available in epic and, epic scenarios. You're not going to be able to use the wing tool in competitive tournaments, unless, of course, they come out with a competitive epic tournaments, specifically, for this. But because this is such a a variant of the core X-Wing model, this isn't going to be, the core games tournaments are not going to allow this. But still, for casual play or for scenarios and epic multiplayer scenarios and stuff like that, these are going to be very, very fun. But in this case, they do make a few exceptions where you don't have to have all like types of ships. So in this example, Seventh Sister was running Agent of the Empire, which will let you take TIE LNs, even if you are not a TIE LN. So you can run this one is, you can only, the part of it's cut off, but this only works on an advanced V1 or X1. So that's cool, so you have, because that's thematic, and they allow a little bit of this, so which is cool. You are going to, like, this was the scenario they ran this atmospheric entry, which was pretty interesting. It's a 3x3 scenario, so fun to be able to do epic stuff on a smaller mat. I think that's kind of cool. Yes, we got a cool look at our Argos Aunty card here. Argos Aunty had that primary weapon of 3, no agility, but there is some new changes to defense. So you are now, if you are at range 3, you're still going to get 1 defense, but if you're beyond range 3, you get an extra +1. So it's not like, range 4 is 2 extra dice and range 5 is 3 extra dice. No, if you're at range 3, you're still going to roll 1 extra. If you're beyond range 3, you're going to roll a second extra. So that is pretty cool. But you're going to be initiative 7 on this Argos Aunty, so you're going to be moving last, but you're going to have a separate engagement number up there, and so you're not going to shoot necessarily at your same initiative. So that's one of the differences that huge ships have. Huge ships also are going to have the 2x above their action bar, which means they're going to be able to take 2 actions. And one cool thing is we're going to see some of the upgrades you can put on huge ships are now allowing for linked actions that are not ending up in a red action, which is really cool. So you can do a linked action of white and white, which is super cool. So it's just like huge, like so much about the huge ships just looks really cool here. So we got the Requiem. Now normally you have a max of range 3 on your huge ships for their primary weapon. In the case, like they said, the CR90 can go up to range 4, but some of your hard points, like this one is range, we have targeting battery here that's range 2 to 5. Which is really cool, right? And they started that with that one, and you can spend, if you can get a bonus attack. Huge ships can get any number of bonus attacks as long as they have the energy and or charge to be able to pay for them. So if you're running your missile tubes or your ordnance tubes, you can fire all the torpedoes and missiles that you can possibly have on you for as many times as you can legally fire them. If you've got the target locks and you've got the charge, you can just go boom, 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 boom. You can totally alpha strike with something like this. It's kind of one of those reasons why they're not, a lot of this stuff isn't tournament legal. But boy, that would be a lot of fun to fire off like 12 proton torpedoes in the first, I don't know what the maximum loadout you'll be able to do, but I think that's going to be really, really fun. Of course, you would need a whole lot of, target locks and stuff, but boy, oh boy, that sounds like crazy fun to me. Crazy, crazy fun. But yes, so, yeah, I like it. So yeah, you can do a bonus attack with a targeting battery. So you can have, this particular Argos Aunty could have 2 attacks, and that was fun. And then they have the Requiem title. So after a ship deploys from you, it may acquire a lock on one ship. You are locking, ignoring range restrictions. So if you target lock somebody else, they can deploy from you, and they'll already have a lock. So in this case, they were running bombers, and it was helpful because there were bombers that were loaded with ordnance, so they could deploy. They'd already have a lock on who they needed to shoot on, so if they could do an action after deploying, then they could afford to focus or barrel roll or something like that if they needed to do that. Yeah, but we're looking at 11 hull, 5 shields, 3 energy, and recharging energy, of course. Now, also, one of the special things you can get is turret disabled. If you get shot in a turret slot, the hard points can be flipped over. And look, and they have special artwork for blown up turrets. Like, let's go back. There's a targeting battery, and there it is blown up, flipped over. So they're flip cards. And after you engage, you may spend 2 to flip this card. So you can potentially spend 2 energy to repair cards. So energy is going to be useful for a lot of different things. Repairing cards, paying for a lot of alternate abilities, additional firing, things like that. Energy is also used to kind of cancel and negate negative or red tokens like stress and things like that. And ions and stuff are going to take away shields before they go onto you, which is cool. The Iranian Guard, we got to look at that one as well. This one does not have a normal primary firing arc. This one has a range 4 dice firing arc out of the left-hand side, but it is also a range 4 attack because of its broadside battery, so you can acquire locks and perform primary attacks at range 1 through 4. Now, the Iranian Guard is almost triple the price of the Gazanti, so it's it's very, very, very deadly. It's got a much bigger weapon platform and still no agility, but 18 hull and 7 shields. It's regenerating 2 shields a turn. Also 7 energy, regenerating 2 energy a turn as well, which is very, very cool. So I'm definitely digging that. And some of the upgrades they brought on this thing was a damage control team and comms team. So the damage control team is before you engage, you can spend 1 or more of your energy to flip that many of your offline upgrade cards. So basically it's a cheaper way, and this is before you engage as well. So if your turrets do get blown up, you can repair them before it's time for them to shoot, which is nice. This also gives you, when you reinforce, you can link that into a white calculate. And so and all of this stuff is letting you link things into a white calculate, which is really, really cool. And comms team is nice because you've got a red coordinate, and this one gives you a white coordinate that you can now also link into a white calculate. So you can coordinate into a calculate, which is very cool. And the comms team is saying after you perform the coordinate action, you can spend up to 2 energy to coordinate that many additional ships at range 0 to 1 of the coordinated ship you coordinated. So you can spend 2 energy and coordinate 3 other ships, and then also get a free calculate out of it. And calculate is nice because if you'll notice, like, the original huge ships didn't used to be able to focus, and there was very, very selective few ways you could try to squeeze, some type of focus manipulation out of huge ships. It required some very clever things. This one, they just says, screw it, you can focus. But even better than that, especially if you're going to go with multiple different attacks, is being able to get all these free calculates. Because if you're going to have like 3 different attacks, one focus isn't going to be that helpful. But you might want, a calculate to modify this one, modify that one, modify this one. Oh, somebody's attacking you from range 3. You're actually going to get 1 die. So you don't want to spend your focus on a 1 die defense, right? So like having all those calculates is very, very cool. I like that. So yeah, like it was a lot of fun. They had a lot of very, very cool engagements. It kind of got a little bit of a mess because they had all the ties flying together. They also had what else did they have? I gotta go to my notes here because let's see, we have a lot of other things to talk about. So bumping is fun, and there was definitely some bumping in this game. So now the cool thing is with huge ship bumping, instead of just destroying whoever they go over, you're actually going to take damage based on the speed of the maneuver. You're going to take criticals based on the speed of the maneuver. That much is pretty wild. If a huge ship bumps another ship and it's not destroyed, then they're also going to basically they're going to reposition the ship anywhere touching, like with the rear of the ship touching the huge ship, and then the opponent has the choice where they can potentially turn it 90 degrees. So you get a little bit of like it's not as bad as being completely destroyed, but you're probably not going to be happy. So you definitely don't want to do that. So yes. Now, also, they did point out there were a lot of questions I was asking multiple times about if huge ships can barrel roll, if like there's any upgrades that can potentially give you the ability to barrel roll, and it was brought up also in chat, like for example, for the Sea Rock, if you had Cicatra Vizago on there, and if you could basically bring in a cloaking device, could you also make the huge ship cloak? And they said you're not going to be allowed to do that. There's certain things that are just going to be banned from huge ships, like cloaking and boosting and barrel rolling. They will not be able to do that, at least not natively, so they don't have to worry. Like, there'll be special rules, so they don't have to worry about future-proofing every single possible interaction that could ever happen. They're just not going to be able to do that. And if they ever can, it will be through some special limited mechanic. Like maybe there will be a title for one particular huge ship that does allow it to do some type of special boost under a special rule set, but it'll be only in that case. Like we saw that in X-Wing 1.0, where there was that GR75 that could take a like its own version of a boost, but it couldn't take a normal boost. And so we definitely had that. Let's see what else do we got here. All right. So yes. So we were talking about bumping. Bumping looks very fun. Let's see. Oh, leaving and joining the formations, the wing tool. We talked about that. We talked about the large ships can take stress, but they're going to lose shields first. These are repainted versions of basically the same ships, but there's so if you really want to buy these, it was asked, will you need to if you've got all the 1.0 stuff, is a conversion kit going to give you everything, or do you need to also go out and consider buying one of the big ships? And they said, no, the conversion kit gives you everything. The only reason you might want to buy a new ship is if you wanted the new paint job, is basically what they were getting at. And I understand that. I'm probably going to at least get the CR90. I don't know if I'll get duplicates of everything else, but my CR90 has fallen so many times. It's actually in pretty bad shape, and I repainted it before I really knew what I was doing, and so the paint job didn't come out that well. I tried to put Nuln oil on it, but I used a small brush, and so something this big, when you're using a tiny little brush, I have like so many brush strokes all over that thing. I did it in one of the most terrible ways you could ever try to wash something so big, and it just does not look very good. So I will be getting another CR90, and I'll compare it to my terrible one, but it's not really a fair comparison. But we'll still do that. Let's see, they can do any number of bonus attacks, so that much is very fun. The shields and energy can have different recharge rates, like we've seen before. And I'm really digging. I'm going to look at the maneuver tool one more time because it does allow a pretty cool amount of precision. I really like this base. I think, and like it being a solid piece is just, I cannot tell you how much I really like that. It's actually one of the main reasons that almost all of my huge ships have fallen multiple times. I think the Sea Rock is the only one that hasn't fallen quite so much, and that's only because it's the newest. But it's because you have them displayed. A lot of people that I know like to take the bigger things and just keep them on display as opposed to taking them apart and storing them all the time. A big ship, something you spend $100 or more for, usually is something you want to display, especially like the CR90 is so beautiful. A lot of people, and the Raider too, a lot of people want to just display those. And so when it was on this old 1.0 style base, you'd pick it up and it would be all wobbly, and then it would fall and everything. So having it on a single solid base is just instrumental as far as its stability. It won't wobble as much here, and you're gonna have a really an easier time grabbing it and moving it around the board as well, or just transporting it within your own home, for crying out loud. So I love it. I like the tool. I think they did a good job of kind of recapturing that epic feel of that slower kind of turning movement. There's a little bit of swing around, but there's not too much. And the fact that the base kind of basically hold up multiple sizes of huge ships is very cool, and I very much dig it. And I wonder what else they'll do with something like this. Will we ever see like a ship that has like maybe 4 pegs because it's so big it needs to use all 4? I don't really think they'll do that because those are really close together right up there. With the back and the front too. If there was like another one in the very center or something like that, then I might be like, maybe they'll come up with one that needs all 3 or something like that. But it looks very, very cool. I'm digging it. I like that whole, and this thing swings all the way out, swings in. You can do all kinds of funky moves with this thing. But yeah, I'm very, very pleased. It was a fun live stream with a lot of information. And like most of these live streams, there's so many questions and so much talking and introduction. They only got through like 2 or 3 rounds of play. So, we didn't really get to see a full game totally play out, but it gives you, it's not really meant to do that. It's meant to give you a flavor of what's going on. And they showed us so much between the wing tool, the scenario play, the epic ships, and a lot of the new rules and upgrade cards. It's very cool. Can't wait to see more. And that's all I've got for you guys today. Let me also remind you about the Amazon gift card giveaway. There is still just a little bit of time left to enter to win the $100 Amazon gift card. All you have to do is be a subscriber and leave a comment on this or one of my videos. It's as simple as that. So that's all I've got for you guys today. I want to thank you all so much for watching. And as always, have a great day.